Okay, here we have a short video for two reasons. One is I want to put the computer icon on the desktop, or show you how to do that. Mine's already up there. And then also we're going to do a thing called hide or not the file name extensions. Okay, now there's good reasons for there's good reasons for doing both, but we'll start with the simplest one, which is the computer icon. Now, up here we see on my very messy desktop a icon that says computer. Now, if you have Windows XP, that will be my computer. Now, we use that in other classes or other parts of our program here to illustrate a number of things. You don't really have to have that on your desktop in the newer versions of Windows. It is actually not on your desktop by default. So, and that's fine, but to put it there or remove it, one way is to come down here to your Start button, and we click on Start. Now we talk about how this side, this half of the menu, is to load your other programs, and this side here is basically operating system stuff, which don't worry about that. We cover that at another time. Now, but the option I'm talking about here is computer. Now, if you left click it, it simply opens up into a window. But what I want to do is right click it. Left click is to select, right click is for options. And so I right click it, and there's an option that says show on desktop. Now there's a check mark next to that because it's showing on the desktop. Now if I click it, single click, left click, that turns that feature off, and I see that I do not have a computer icon on the desktop. To turn it back on, I would right click on that computer button again, or that computer option, right click, and now there's no check mark, so I will click it to turn it back on. Show on desktop, click, and then that computer icon is back on the desktop there. No big deal. We use that icon to for certain exercises, but I just wanted to show how to turn that on and off. Okay, I'll put that on the desktop and remove it. Now the other thing, which I think is far more important, is file name extensions. Now by default, Windows does not display those. And now if you haven't had the previous lessons, every file has a name. And I'm using the term file, and if you don't know what a file is, that's okay. Just realize that it's an important thing to learn, and we do have lessons for that. But these icons represent files, some of them do, and every file has a name that can have an extension, which is the name has a period followed by more characters. And like for example the .doc and .xls and .jpg, which you may or may not have seen. And now what happens is Windows takes it upon itself to try to associate a data file with a particular program. Now it doesn't do that properly, or doesn't do that correctly all the time, and it does that as it tries to guess at programs is what it does really. And it's a good thing, it's a convenient thing, but it doesn't always get it right. Ultimately, you and I are responsible for knowing what programs work with what data files. And so it's helpful then to see those file name extensions. So all we're going to do is just show how to turn that on. Now here I have a file, let's see, NOVFIN and Carl script here. We don't see a dot anything in there, no period, because the file name extensions have been hidden. And again, that's a default in Windows. So to unhide that, as it were, what we'll do is we'll come to the Start menu once again, Start, and then there's Control Panel. So we'll go ahead and click on Control Panel. And up pops a window. Now, what we're seeing here are categories of options that basically affect how Windows, which oversees everything, deals with your hardware and other things. You can customize Windows through this. Not going to worry about that because rarely do you have to come in here and do anything anyway. And if you do, it's just a minor tweak here or there. But it is worthwhile coming in here and looking at things, not so much to know what everything is, because nobody knows. It's getting the feel for it is what the critical thing is. So anyway, but you can always go to the classic view. Okay, I prefer the classic view. I'm going to click that right there. Click. And here's everything. See, in the other view, it gathered all these icons up and put them in categories. Well, that makes it harder for me to find what I want. Here it all is. everything's right there and alphabetized on top of that. So the option we're looking for here is folder options. That's what we want. So I will double click it, click. Now for what we're doing, this hide extensions for known file types is what it's called. Kind of an odd place to put it here, under folder options, but that's how it is. Now if you're going to do this, and you want to do this, you don't remember so you don't have access to this video, but hiding file name extensions. How do I do that? Well, your best resource is Google. Do a Google search. Hiding file name extensions in Windows 7 or Windows XP, whatever, and you will get a link to somebody who's got a perfectly good explanation. So you wouldn't need this video. But anyway, this is not bad. Here we see under folder options, under general, that's not what we want right there. So view. We'll click on this view tab. Gives another set of options. Now these are all options that have been set by default when you first install Windows, and generally you're going to leave it all there. Now rarely do you have to come in here and do anything, and again, if you do, it's a tweak here, tweak there, minor thing. And nobody knows what all this stuff is. I don't know what all this stuff is, and but I do know how to find out. And two ways to go about that. One is, it's just a good exercise to come into something like this, kind of look at what an option is, say, take an educated guess at it, and turn it off or on or whatever, and see what it does. If you're using reasonable common sense, you're not going to hurt anything. Just remember what you did so you can change it back. And again, if you're not sure what it is, do Google search on it. Like right here, what is this one? Display sample folder view and navigation pane. I would just maybe type that into the Google search, or if you know how to paste it in there, even better. I don't think you can cut and paste this anyway, but yeah, type it all in, and you'll find a great explanation for that. All right, now down here we have the option I'm looking for: hide extensions for known file types. That is on by default when you first install Windows these days. So I'm going to turn that off. I recommend when you buy a new computer, bring it home, come here doing exactly what we're doing, turn that off, and then say OK, and then you will see that these files that we looked at before, these icons for the files, have an extension. There's .doc, .txt, that wasn't there before. And so there you go. That's simple as that, just telling Windows not to hide file name extension. Now there's a good reason for doing that, which will become apparent as we do further exercises. So I'm going to sign off then. Thanks for watching.